Well, gas prices are high. What can I do about it? What can America do about it? Well, there's always conservation. But conservation kind of works a little funny. I mean, yeah, there are more fuel-efficient cars out there than the one you're probably driving, but not many people can afford to dump their old car and get a new one right away. You have conservation in the short term and conservation in the near term. Conservation in the short term works, I mean, like I said, not everybody can afford to go out and buy a new car or a more efficient airplane or a more efficient furnace. So conservation in the short term tends to work more like you change your methods, your practices. Maybe you drive to the store less, or maybe if you're a trucking company, you idle your truck less, or if you're an airline, maybe you taxi on one engine instead of 2 or 3 or 4. Conservation in the long term, of course, works a little bit differently, because at that point, if it's time to change out the engine, it makes sense to go ahead and get one that's more efficient. Conservation over time, that's where your real efficiencies come, not in the short term. Sit, darling. But the thing about conservation is it has some downsides. First of all, America is a pretty productive country, so if we do less, we make less. If we use less fuel, we tend to be less productive. I mean, what are you going to do? Not go to the grocery store to conserve gas, or you're not going to go to work to conserve gas? One of the statistics that really annoys me that a lot of environmentalists use is that the U.S. has 5% of the population and we use 25% of the world's energy supply. Well, that's true, but what they fail to mention is that America makes 27% of goods and services on the globe. We're not just sitting around. So when we use less fuel in the short term, we tend to be less productive. The other downside of conservation is, okay, use less fuel, demand goes down, price goes down. Well, what happens when the price goes down? People start to use more gasoline. The price goes up. So you're back at square one. So, well, I think conservation has its benefits. It's not the real answer. Our use of energy is not what is the sole reason for driving up the prices. And next I'm going to talk about government regulation, what I believe to be the real source of the gas price increases.